Hello, everyone. What if the scariest part of getting better is the moment you finally believe you're safe? Tuna is packing the last little things, Henry is excited to go out, and Alex is trying to keep the day light, like they're starting over for real. But then the phone rings. And here's the question. What if Tuna's illness wasn't just a fever, and the hospital has been hiding something in her file since TET? Because one abnormal index, one urgent recall, one sentence from a doctor can turn new beginnings into a countdown. Stay tuned for what happens next. And if you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next one. And drop a comment about today's story. Tuna stood near the doorway with a small backpack half-zipped, checking if Henry's jacket was inside for the third time. She laughed at herself quietly. She didn't used to be this careful. But after being sick, every tiny detail felt like a way to protect the life she'd almost lost. Henry bounced around the room, humming nonsense, dragging one shoe behind him like he didn't care if it matched. "Go now?" he asked, eyes shining. "Soon," Tuna said, smiling. She bent down and fixed his collar. "Let Mama finish first." Alex leaned against the wall near the door, holding the car keys, watching them with a soft expression that tried to look relaxed. "We'll be late if you keep checking that bag," he teased gently. Tuna rolled her eyes. "I'm not checking. I'm confirming." Henry giggled like confirming was the funniest word he'd ever heard. For a moment, it felt like the world was finally giving them a break. A normal morning, a normal plan, a normal kind of happiness that didn't come with a price. Then Tuna's phone rang. The sound cut through the room too sharply, like a glass clink in a quiet house. Tuna froze for half a second. It wasn't fear exactly, more like instinct. The way your body remembers the hospital even after you leave it. She glanced at the screen. Unknown number. A cold thread slid down her spine. Alex noticed immediately. "Who is it?" "I don't know," Tuna said, trying to keep her tone light. She answered anyway. "Hello?" A professional voice came through, calm but urgent. "Is this Ms. Tuna? I'm calling from the hospital. We need you to come back for a follow-up as soon as possible." Tuna blinked. "Follow-up? But I'm better now." There was a pause, then the voice tightened slightly, like the caller was choosing words carefully. "After TET, some values in your post-discharge file were reviewed again. One of your indices is abnormal. The doctor wants you to return for re-examination today." "Today?" Tuna's mouth went dry. What index?" she asked, trying to sound steady. "I can't discuss details over the phone," the staff member said. "But it's important. Please don't delay. If you can come within the next few hours, that would be best." Tuna's fingers tightened around the phone. She looked at Henry, who was still smiling, still bouncing, still believing this was going to be a fun day. Her voice dropped. "Is it serious?" The staff member didn't answer directly, and that silence felt louder than any warning. "We just need you to come back urgently. Please bring your discharge papers if you have them." Then softer. "Miss Tuna, don't ignore this." The call ended. Tuna stood there, phone pressed to her ear long after the line went dead. The room felt different now, like the warmth had been drained out through a crack in the floor. Alex stepped closer. "Tuna," he said carefully. "What happened?" Tuna swallowed. Her lips moved, but her voice didn't come out at first. When it did, it sounded smaller than she wanted. "They said, I have an abnormal index in my file," she whispered. "They want me back for a recheck. Urgently." Henry looked up, confused by the sudden shift. "Mama, go?" Tuna forced a smile at him, but her eyes were already wet. "Mama just needs to see the doctor for a little bit." Alex's face tightened. He didn't panic. He never did in front of her. But Tuna could see the worry in his eyes, sharp and immediate. "Did they say what it was?" Alex asked. Tuna shook her head. "They wouldn't tell me. Just urgent. Today." The word hung in the air like smoke. Tuna felt her chest tighten, not with pain, but with fear. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind that creeps in and whispers, "What if you're not actually okay?" She looked down at the backpack she'd been packing, and suddenly it felt ridiculous. Like she'd been folding hope into neat little squares, and now someone had knocked the whole stack over. Alex reached for her hand. His palm was warm, steady. "We'll go," he said simply. Right now. Tuna blinked, startled by how fast he decided. But, Henry, I'll take Henry with us, Alex said. Or we can drop him at my mom's on the way. Either way, you're not going alone. Tuna's throat tightened. I don't want to ruin today. Alex's eyes held hers. Today doesn't matter more than you. Those words hit her hard because they sounded like something he'd been practicing for the day he'd need to say it. Henry tugged at Tuna's sleeve. Play! Tuna's heart cracked a little. She crouched down and held his cheeks gently. We'll play soon, okay? Mama just needs to make sure she stays healthy. Henry pouted, then nodded slowly, trusting her. Tuna stood back up and suddenly her legs felt weak. Not from illness, maybe not, but from the mental shock. She could still remember the fever, the hospital lights, the way she'd promised herself she'd never go back there again. Alex picked up the backpack for her without asking. Keys, he said quietly, more to himself than anyone. Phone, papers. Tuna stared at him. You're not scared? Alex's jaw tightened for a split second. Then he softened his voice. I am, but I'm more scared of you ignoring this and collapsing later. That word, collapsing, landed like a threat, because Tuna could picture it too clearly, finally starting over, finally smiling, finally letting herself believe in a future, and then her body betraying her again at the worst moment. A sudden cold gust slipped through the open window, making the curtain flutter. Tuna's skin prickled. She whispered almost to herself, what if it comes back? Alex stepped closer, lowering his voice like a vow. Then we catch it early. We don't wait for it to win. Tuna's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back fast. I don't want Henry to see me sick again. Alex knelt to Henry's level, forcing warmth into his tone. Hey, buddy, today we're going on a special trip first, okay? Hospital visit, then we get snacks. Henry's eyes widened. Snacks? Alex smiled. Big snacks. Henry grinned, instantly distracted. Tuna watched Alex handle it, and something inside her eased, just slightly, but fear still sat under her ribs like a stone. Because the hospital didn't call for no reason, and abnormal index could mean 100 things. Some small, some terrifying. Tuna walked toward the door, then paused, hand on the frame like she needed to steady herself. Outside, the day looked bright, normal, innocent, and that contrast made her fear sharper, because the world always looks normal right before bad news. Alex opened the door wider. Let's go, he said softly. Tuna stepped out, holding Henry's hand, and felt the sunlight on her face. Warm, almost comforting. But in her mind, the hospital voice echoed again. Don't ignore this. Tuna swallowed, forcing herself to breathe. Because if she ignores it, she might lose everything right at the moment she finally wanted to live again. And somewhere ahead, behind bright hallways and smiling nurses, an answer was waiting. The only question is, will it be a simple warning or the start of a relapse that crashes down just as Tuna begins to hope again? The drive to the hospital didn't feel like a normal trip at all. Outside, the day looked bright. Sunlight on roofs, people walking like life was simple. But inside the car, the air was tight and quiet. Henry sat in the back seat swinging his feet, still excited about Alex's promise of big snacks, while Tuna stared out the window as if she could read answers in passing trees. Alex drove with both hands on the wheel, steady, but too steady. The kind of steady that's really control, not calm. Tuna finally whispered, what if it's nothing? Alex kept his eyes forward. Then we hear that from a doctor and go home. But if it's something, we're already doing the right thing. Tuna nodded, but her fingers trembled in her lap. She hated that tremble. It brought back the hospital bed, the fever, the fear of waking up and not feeling like herself. When they arrived, the hospital looked the same as always. White, clean, cold. The moment Tuna stepped inside, the smell of disinfectant hit her like a memory. Her stomach turned. Henry squeezed her hand. Mama? Here? Tuna forced a smile. Just a little bit. Alex crouched beside Henry. Hey, buddy, remember? Snacks after. You're my brave helper. Henry puffed out his chest. Helper? At the front desk, the nurse checked Tuna's name and immediately nodded like she'd been waiting. Miss Tuna, please follow me. The doctor wants to see you right away. Right away. Tuna's heart dropped. Alex stepped closer. I'm going with her. The nurse glanced at Henry, then softened. You can come. They walked down a hallway that felt longer than it should. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. A cart squeaked somewhere far away. A door clicked shut with a hollow sound. Every noise felt too loud. They were led into a small consultation room. 2 chairs, a desk, a computer monitor turned slightly away. The blinds let in a thin stripe of daylight that looked weak against the sterile walls. Please wait here, the nurse said, then closed the door. Tuna sat slowly. Alex sat close beside her, and Henry climbed into Alex's lap, quietly playing with a zipper. Tuna leaned toward Alex and whispered, I don't want Henry to see me fall apart. Alex's voice was low. Then don't fall apart alone. Minutes later, the door opened. A doctor stepped in with a file and tired eyes. He greeted them politely, then looked at Tuna with a seriousness that made the room feel smaller. Ms. Tuna, he began, I'm glad you came quickly. Tuna swallowed. Is it serious? The doctor set the file down. After TET, we reviewed your discharge results again. One of your indices was borderline at the time. Later review flagged it as abnormal. Tuna's throat tightened. What does that mean? It suggests your body may still be under stress in a way that doesn't match a simple fever, the doctor said carefully. We need more tests today. Blood work, imaging, and observation. Tuna felt the room tilt. So, it could come back? It could, the doctor said gently, or it could be something that never fully resolved. I don't want to scare you, but I don't want you to ignore this either. If we wait and it worsens, you could collapse at the worst time. Collapse. The word hit like ice. Alex's hand found Tuna's under the table and squeezed hard, grounding her. Tuna tried to keep her voice steady. Do you suspect something specific? It's too early to name it, the doctor admitted, but there are signs we can't dismiss. The safest choice is immediate evaluation. Henry had gone quiet. He looked up at Tuna with wide eyes. Mama? Tuna forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I'm okay, baby. The doctor stood. A nurse will take you for tests. I recommend you stay today. When he left, the silence turned frightening. Tuna's hands started shaking and tears came before she could stop them. I just wanted to start over, she whispered to Alex. We were finally okay. Alex pulled her into a tight embrace. Careful, strong, steady. Tuna clung to him like she'd fall apart if she let go. Henry whimpered, scared by the tears. Mama, cry. Tuna pulled back quickly and wiped her face. No, Mama's okay. Something in my eye. Alex turned to Henry, voice warm and firm. Hey, buddy, Mama just needs the doctors to check her so she stays strong, okay? We're staying with her. Henry sniffled. Mama strong? Yes, Alex said. Mama strong. The next hours blurred, blood drawn, vials labeled. A wristband tightened around Tuna's arm. Machines hummed during imaging, waiting rooms under harsh lights. Alex stayed close through it all, carrying Henry, buying snacks like he promised, whispering reassurance even when his own face looked tight with worry. At one point, Tuna swayed, dizzy. Alex caught her instantly. Slow, he murmured. Breathe. Tuna clutched his sleeve. What if I'm getting worse? Alex held her gaze. Then we catch it early. That's why we're here. As evening approached, the doctor returned with preliminary results. His expression was controlled, not casual. Some results confirm the abnormality, he said. I'm recommending admission for observation and further testing. At least overnight. Tuna's heart sank. Staying again? I know it's hard, the doctor said gently, but you did the right thing coming in. If you had ignored the call, this could have escalated suddenly. Later in the hospital room, Tuna sat on the bed, staring at the IV like it was betrayal. Henry sat beside Alex in a chair, sleepy and quiet. Tuna whispered, I'm sorry. Alex's head snapped up. Don't. I wanted to give you peace, she said, voice breaking. I wanted us to finally live. Alex crossed the room and took her hands. Then we will, he said. But we do it the right way. We don't ignore warning signs. We don't gamble with you. Tuna's tears fell again. Alex hugged her, tight, protective. a sacred kind of comfort. "Promise me something," she whispered. "Anything. If I get scared, you'll still stay." Alex's voice turned fierce. "I'm not going anywhere." Tuna closed her eyes, breathing through tears. The monitors beeped softly. The hallway stayed cold and bright, and somewhere in Alex's pocket, his phone, silent for now, kept stacking missed calls like an unseen countdown. Tuna didn't notice, but Alex did. He looked at Henry asleep in the chair, then back at Tuna, and a darker question settled in his chest. If Tuna's health is becoming a storm again, what happens when the other storms come too? Tuna, Alex, and Henry rush to the hospital after Tuna receives an urgent call about an abnormal index in her post-TET medical file. The bright day outside contrasts sharply with the sterile corridors and the smell of disinfectant that instantly drags Tuna back into fear. A doctor explains her earlier results were borderline and now flagged as abnormal, warning it may be more than a simple fever and could relapse or worsen suddenly if ignored. Tuna trembles, fighting tears in front of Henry, while Alex stays steady, promising she won't face it alone. Tests begin immediately. Blood work, imaging, long waits under harsh lights. By evening, preliminary results confirm the abnormality, and the doctor recommends overnight admission for observation. In the hospital room, Tuna breaks down, apologizing, but Alex holds her and makes a sacred promise to stay. Meanwhile, missed calls quietly pile up, hinting another storm is coming.